Today, first-person shooters are everywhere. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo, Counter-Strike, and countless other games have become some of the biggest names in gaming. But decades before most of them existed, one game helped create the formula that would influence an entire industry. In 1993, Doom arrived on PCs and completely changed gaming. It was fast, violent, terrifying, incredibly moddable, and unlike almost anything players had seen before. Its enemies, weapons, levels, and intense atmosphere created an experience that felt completely different from traditional games of the time. But Doom wasn't just another successful shooter. It changed how games were made, how players shared games, and how developers thought about creating communities around their titles. Its technology and design influenced countless games that came afterward. And the story didn't end with the games. Decades later, Hollywood even tried to turn Doom into a movie. So how did this legendary franchise become one of gaming's most influential series? And what went wrong when Hollywood tried to recreate it? Doom was created by ID Software, a small development team that already made a name for itself with games like Wolfenstein 3D. The team wanted to create something faster, darker, and much more ambitious than the shooters that came before it. Instead of simply running through flat corridors and shooting enemies, the developers built a world filled with different heights, secret areas, dark environments, lighting effects, monsters, weapons, and terrifying sound design. These elements made the game feel incredibly advanced for its time. The technology behind Doom was so impressive that many players couldn't believe it was running on an ordinary home computer. The game created the illusion of a much more complex 3D world, while still running smoothly on relatively modest hardware. But technology wasn't the only reason Doom became special. Its fast gameplay, atmosphere, level design, and memorable enemies all helped create something new. And the most important part wasn't actually the technology. It was how ID Software decided to distribute the game, a decision that would completely change the gaming industry. When Doom launched in 1993, ID Software didn't distribute it like a normal video game. Instead, the company released the first episode as shareware, allowing people to download or copy it for free and play the opening part before deciding whether to purchase the complete game. And this was incredibly important. Players could copy Doom, give it to friends, install it on another computer, or spread it through computer networks. There was no Steam, no digital storefront, no social media, and no instant online advertising to promote the game. Yet Doom spread incredibly quickly. Computer users could experience the game themselves and then pass it to someone else, creating a massive chain of word-of-mouth promotion. The strategy was so successful that Doom became one of the most widely distributed PC games of its era. And before long, it was almost impossible to find a serious PC gamer who hadn't heard of Doom. Doom didn't just become popular at home. It started appearing almost everywhere people had access to computers. Schools, universities, offices, and computer labs became places where people secretly played Doom whenever they had the chance. The game's simple controls made it easy to learn, while its fast action made it incredibly difficult to stop playing. And because Doom supported multiplayer, groups of players could connect their computers and fight each other over local networks. This was long before modern online gaming became normal. There were no matchmaking systems, no massive dedicated servers, no battle passes, and no online rankings. You simply connected your computers together, chose your weapons, and started shooting your friends. Doom helped prove that multiplayer gaming could become a social experience, not just something you played alone. That idea would eventually become one of the biggest and most important parts of the entire gaming industry. But perhaps one of Doom's biggest contributions was something that wasn't even created by ID Software itself: the modding community. Players could experiment with Doom's game files, known as WADs, and use them to create their own content. They could build completely new levels, change textures, replace sounds, modify weapons, and eventually create entirely different experiences using the Doom engine. This opened the door to one of the most passionate modding communities in gaming history. Players weren't simply consuming the content developers created. They were becoming creators themselves. And that idea was incredibly important for the future of PC gaming. Doom wasn't just a game you bought, played, and finished. It became a platform that players could modify, expand, and build upon. Eventually, Hollywood came knocking. In 2005, Doom became a movie starring Carl Urban and Dwayne Johnson, bringing the famous video game franchise to the big screen. On paper, it sounded almost perfect. A legendary video game, space marines, terrifying monsters, massive guns, and a huge Hollywood production. But there was one major problem. The movie didn't really tell the story of Doom. Instead of fully embracing the game's iconic mythology of hell and demons, the film changed the explanation behind the monsters. The story focused on a mysterious genetic experiment that transformed people into violent creatures, making the movie feel very different from the world fans knew. There were still plenty of weapons, monsters, action, and even a famous first-person sequence inspired directly by the games. But for many fans, that wasn't enough. The movie wasn't necessarily a complete disaster, but Hollywood had taken the name Doom and changed many of the things that made the original games so memorable. After the original games, Doom itself began to change, and the series entered a very different era. In 2004, Doom 3 arrived and took the franchise in a completely new direction. Instead of focusing purely on speed, constant shooting, and aggressive movement, Doom 3 leaned heavily into atmosphere, darkness, tension, and survival horror. The game was filled with dark corridors, frightening sounds, unexpected enemies, and moments designed to make players feel vulnerable. Some fans loved this new approach because it made Doom feel genuinely terrifying. Others missed the fast, aggressive gameplay and constant action that had defined the original games. For several years, the future of the franchise wasn't exactly clear. Doom had become a legendary name, but there was no obvious idea of where the series should go next. Then, more than a decade after the original game, ID Software decided to bring the franchise back to its roots. And this time, Doom was coming back faster, louder, and more brutal than ever. In 2016, Doom came roaring back. And instead of trying to copy the slower, more tactical style of many modern shooters, ID Software went in the opposite direction. The new game focused on speed, aggressive movement, powerful weapons, and constant combat. Demons were everywhere, and players were encouraged to keep moving instead of hiding behind cover. Glory kills rewarded aggressive play, while the chainsaw provided a brutal way to recover ammunition. The formula worked. Doom 2016 reminded players why the original games had become legendary in the first place, while still feeling modern and polished. Then Doom Eternal pushed the idea even further, turning the combat into an incredibly fast and demanding system that required constant movement and quick decisions. After more than 2 decades, Doom had successfully reinvented itself without forgetting what made the original so special. More than 30 years after its original release, Doom is still here, and its influence on gaming is almost impossible to ignore. It helped define the first-person shooter, change PC gaming, introduce ideas that countless developers would later use, and inspire one of the biggest modding communities in gaming history. It became a cultural phenomenon, appeared on computers everywhere, caused controversy, and even made its way to Hollywood. And maybe that's the most impressive thing about Doom. The games changed, the technology changed, the graphics changed, gaming itself completely changed. But the basic idea never disappeared. Give the player a powerful gun, put demons in front of them, give them an insane arsenal, and let them move as fast as possible. That's Doom. From the original 1993 classic to Doom Eternal, the formula has survived for more than 3 decades because it remains incredibly simple and incredibly fun. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for more gaming stories and facts. And let me know in the comments which Doom game is your favorite. Thanks for watching.